I have finally achieved Wicked completion. I can die now. Oh no, wait a minute. I need to find out who wins Survivor. Welcome back to Glenn Hates Everything. I'm Glenn, and I allegedly hate everything. If you're new to this channel, I do these movie reviews in one single uninterrupted take. I leave all the ers and ums in, all the mistakes. If I'm checking my notes, you're going to see me checking my notes. I just think it's better that way. You just get the full Glenn Hates Everything experience. Today we're going to talk about Wicked for Good. And I want to preface this by saying I'm going to be all over the place here because most people on this planet know what Wicked is, or they've seen the first one. They don't really need full recaps here, so this is going to be very bullet pointy-y. But we're going to start with the fact that I'm fairly new to the Wicked universe. I didn't see the stage production until I was in London a few years ago, and I didn't like it. I actually kind of hated it. I just thought I'm the wrong audience for this. I felt like it was for 10-year-old girls. And I am a 10-year-old girl at heart, but not in body and spirit sometimes. So I really wasn't all that crazy about seeing the film adaptation until I heard that Jon Chu was directing, and that guy knows how to make a musical, a movie musical. I thought In the Heights was brilliant. And so it raised my excitement levels a bit, and then with the casting of Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, I was also very excited. So when the film came out, I was blown away. I just thought, okay, if this is the prequel of sorts to The Wizard of Oz, it was always meant to be a movie, because our memories of The Wizard of Oz, unless you only ever read the book, the Frank L. Baum book, it's through that movie. And so I think Wicked works better as a film than it ever did as a stage play. Plus, there was always the fact that, notoriously, the first act was always better than the second act. And I agree with that assessment from the stage version. I thought the second act was rushed. It didn't have memorable songs. It kind of was just really low-key, sedate, a little darker, but I didn't feel like it earned any of that. It just felt like this rush job to get to the end so that we could intermingle it with The Wizard of Oz and, walk up the aisle, maybe humming tunes from that first act. So, blown away by the original, although I do not understand why it's called Wicked Part 1 and Part 2 is called Wicked for Good. I mean, pick a sequel title, folks. Still, I think with this sequel, Jon Chu, Winnie Holzman, Dana Fox, Stephen Schwartz have all done an amazing job. It's different than the first one. It doesn't feature those giant singing, dancing numbers. The best songs still are in the first installment, but what it lacks in that showbiz pizzazz of the first one, it more than makes up for it in emotional feeling, this depth of feeling. And one of the things that I thought was that last year when Wicked came out, we had a different government, a different vibe, a different tone. And with part 2 being darker and really getting into the weeds with the rise of fascism, it hits a little bit differently now than it would have hit a year ago. And so I found myself really involved. So here's some bullet point highlights. Ariana Grande is brilliant. She's amazing. She kind of takes over the lead, whereas Cynthia Erivo was the lead in the first part. She kind of takes over, and this becomes Glinda's story in a lot of ways. We get Glinda's backstory, for example, whereas we got Elphaba's backstory in the first one. She has fantastic comic timing, which she is only called on to do minimally in the second part. But she also has so much emotion in this second part. She's just captivating. I loved watching her in her funny moments. She really is hilarious, so we still get a bit of that. And she sings beautifully. She has a nice, beautiful belt in this second part that wasn't quite there in the first one, and so I enjoyed that. Most of the songs in the second one are ballads. It's a much more slowed down tempo. We do have a couple of song and dance numbers, but they're early on. And so we're left with this more somber tone. I really enjoyed the two additional songs. Elphaba sings There's No Place Like Home at a key moment when we're looking at a literal Underground Railroad situation. And Glinda sings The Girl in the Bubble, which is a beautifully realized sequence using mirrors, and we're not sure if we're looking at a reflection or if we're looking at the actual actor, and it just kind of goes back and forth, and it's a really quite an accomplished feat. And some other notes. I miss Peter Dinklage having a voice, a line of dialogue in the second one. I liked Coleman Domingo's take on the Cowardly Lion. He sounded like Bert Lahr. Yeah, I didn't really hear Coleman Domingo in it, and that was kind of cool, because he's got such a, booming voice, a recognizable voice. And in this one, he's kind of doing the, which I liked. And yes, I'm going to keep that in there, as embarrassing as that is. Not enough Jonathan Bailey. He has one song, and it's a duet with Cynthia Erivo, and his voice soars, and they sound beautiful together. I just would have liked him to have another, dancing through life moment, something big and choreographed. He does have like a color guard choreographed moment, but that kind of feels very marching bandish and nothing more. Let's see, who else? I really enjoy Bronwyn James and Bowen Yang as Glinda's assistants. They found a really good place for them in this film. It's way too brief, but we do get these are, her posse, and they are bitchier than she ever will be. They do dare to let Glinda be almost the villain in this one. She makes some tough choices, but they're not good choices. They're kind of mean-spirited, and I like that. Michelle Yeoh still can't sing a lick, but she kills this performance. I really loved the Dynasty Joan Collins of it all. Just, she did everything but chew on a radish and to, give side-eye. She just is so gleefully mean. Jeff Goldblum, he is wonderful as the song that he sings. He really loves to kind of lay in these moments where he can relax and take his time with a bit, which I really enjoyed. He's a lot of fun in this, and there's one really hilarious de-aging moment with him that got a chuckle, and it's really kind of fun. Let's see, Ethan Slater, great Broadway singer, finally gets his chance to really belt it out here, and I was really impressed with the level of anger and pathos with his character. I enjoyed his performance. Same with Marissa Bode. She's called on to do something completely different in the second one that gives her character more layers. Now, having said all this, it's still a little rushed, which is weird, because it's, instead of the 40 minutes or so of the second act of the theatrical edition, this is 2 hours and 20 minutes, something like that. And yet it does feel a little rushed. But when I say rushed, there are times where this feels like an action film, a superhero movie at times, and it's pretty thrilling. For a movie that's filled with a lot of ballads, it's quite a fun watch. I really just loved it. Now, the tie-ins with Dorothy and Toto and her friends along the way down the Yellow Brick Road are intermingled with this story much in the same way that they were in the stage production. However, Ariana Grande gets in a couple of wonderful zingers. It's really fun to see that story told through the eyes of Glinda instead of the other way around. And so that it puts in perspective how there's not much importance to Dorothy in the whole saga of The Wizard of Oz when you put it in the context of this bigger Wicked picture. This has a lot of CGI, but I don't know, I just find I feel like I'm in a candy store, and it's not too sickly sweet for me. I love all the pinks and greens in this film, and it's just exuberant, and it's fun to watch. And it did get me teared up. I was crying, and I've seen this film twice now. I was crying for the last 20 minutes or so. I mean, when they sing for good, it is just a masterclass in singing, and singing together, and harmonizing, and feeling the lyrics. These two actors, Grande and Erivo, know how to feel their characters. And maybe it's from spending a year, shilling it from the last time and doing all those, press conferences and interviews, but they clearly feel something for each other, which is just it transcends the story and it feels deeper, and we put that into our experience watching it. This is just a fantastic film. I really enjoyed it, and I know there will be naysayers who think that's still not as good as the first one, and I think it's as good. I think it makes it a very complete picture. And despite the fact that the songs aren't as good, I'm still humming a couple. I can remember The Girl in the Bubble and For Good. Those are, quite lovely. And I think I'll put those, on, repeat in my car. So if you ever see me driving down Sunset Boulevard, singing wildly and gesticulating like this, I'm listening to Wicked for Good. I'm dying to hear what y'all think, because this was... the culmination of a dream, of a year of waiting. And I wasn't disappointed. I think that in 50 years, we're not going to be talking about Anora, for example, or this year. What's a big movie that, probably Marty Supreme. We won't be talking about those films in 50 years. We're going to be talking about the Wicked movies. And oh yeah, there was that one before it called The Wizard of Oz. I think that's its legacy, and it's a beautiful legacy. These are films about dealing with fascism, dealing with racism, speaking up, talking back, not letting things slip, really speaking your mind, standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves. It's a beautiful message, and it's sure, it's heavy-handed. I mean, this is a big movie musical, in a way that we don't get to see very often, these big studio musicals. And I think this, rises to the level of the greats in that pantheon. Let me know what you think. I'm dying to hear. Until then, I'll see and hate another movie next time. I guarantee, actually, the next one you see is something I hated. Bye for now.